Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to Full Time Devils. I am Adam McKola. Manchester United have beaten Kristiansund in their fifth pre-season game, 1-0, thanks to a late goal from Juan Mata, who scored the goal from the penalty spot, having won the penalty himself after a fantastic pass to put him through on goal by Paul Pogba. He tried to round the keeper, did little Juan Mata, but he got brought down and he tucked away the penalty on the 91st minute as we won the game late on, thanks to a substitute in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's hometown. It sounds about right, doesn't it? And Ollie's son was even on the pitch as well in another little touching moment for our boss. We are going to be talking about the Kristiansund game, Manchester United's performance, going through player ratings, going through our man of the match, going through all that good stuff. But we're also going to sneak in some Dybala transfer news chat, because we've also been hearing in the last hour during the game that his representatives, his agent, are in England for talks with Manchester United over that potential swap deal with Manchester United and Juventus, Dybala and Lukaku. If Dybala says yes, that move is on. Obviously, we have to get him to say yes first, because he may not want to play in the Europa League. He may not want to come to Manchester United. So we have to see what's going on with that. We'll discuss that a little bit later on. But first, let's talk about the game, and we'll be getting your comments as well. Were you watching the watch-along? Hope you guys tuned in. Peaky Pundit and Pav were on the watch-along today. We'll be doing watch-alongs for every single game as well. We'll be rotating who appears on those watch-alongs. We'll be rotating who's on them. But we're going to be doing those every single game during the season, as well as having fan cams. I know I'm not usually sat at home during a game. Nat is out there doing fan cams for us, so we'll have some fan cams and fan reaction from Norway for you guys very, very soon. But I'm with you for the next 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes if you guys are enjoying the show and are getting involved and want to keep the show going. So make sure you're keeping it locked, getting your comments coming in as we watch Manchester United's players spend some time with the fans. Axel Tuanzebe signing autographs on shirts, Paul Pogba taking selfies with some of the fans, and now Juan Mata is doing his review and his reaction pitch side with MUTV. So it's good to see the United boys in high spirits. Obviously today it was a little bit of a mixed performance, as you can see by my ratings. Now, I don't particularly think, Martial was bad, Rashford was bad, Daniel James, I don't particularly think any of them were bad, but I've given most of the players a 6 from that first half. Now that team there that you see right here is the team that played for the first 60 minutes. We then changed the whole team. We saw Mata, Chong, Mason Greenwood coming on, Andreas Pereira, who else come on? Paul Pogba, Fred. Then in the defence we had Rojo, Tuanzebe, Delo, Ashley Young, and in goal Romero. So that was the changes. But Marcus Rashford went very close a number of times. He had a great free kick which kept out by their Irish goalkeeper in the first half, he was in great form. He was keeping everything out. McTominay went really close. McTominay was probably our best player in that first 60 minutes. Wan-Bissaka had a good performance as well. But McTominay was driving forward really well, pushing forward with the ball. Now, obviously, the level of opposition, it's not the greatest of opposition, and it's not the kind of opposition we're going to come up against in the Premier League. But it was really good to see from McTominay. And I think Scott McTominay, for me, out of all our midfielders, McTominay, Pereira, Fred, Matic, you see Matic's rating is the lowest there of any other team. I don't think he performed particularly well today. And I think McTominay, for me, is becoming United's first choice midfielder alongside Paul Pogba. Now, it does show the lack of depth, the lack of quality we have in midfield, but it also shows you how good and how much he's come along, and how much McTominay has improved. He's proven me wrong. I didn't think he was great, to be honest, but he's shown he's a great addition to the squad. Now, I still think we need more in the midfield area. I still think we need some more quality, but I think McTominay is someone that when he's in the first 11, I'm not going to complain about much anymore, because he's proven me wrong over the recent months. But still, we need a little bit more quality in there. Axel needs to be given his chance as Daniel O'Toole, and I totally agree with you as well. Again, interesting. Axel Tuanzebe, is he going to go back on loan to Aston Villa, or is he going to stay at Manchester United? What's the situation with Rojo? We're hearing he could potentially leave. Smalling, Jones, obviously we know what the story is with them. Are we going to sign Harry Maguire? Even if we sign Harry Maguire, I still think there's a shout for Axel Tuanzebe to stay. Bailly's obviously injured and he's not been, reliable. I think he's good when he's fit, but he's rarely fit. Lindelof is coming on good, and I think he's our first choice defender at this moment. Smalling's always a decent squad option. Same with Jones, same with Rojo, but I couldn't argue with any of those three players leaving. And with that being said, even if you brought in Maguire, I think Axel could be one of those four main centre halves. Axel, Maguire, Lindelof, and Bailly or Smalling. Let Rojo and Jones go maybe. I think that could be, the foundation of a solid centre half selection. And then you've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's been fantastic, and you see there with his player rating today, getting forward really well, beating his man, winning corners, getting the ball in the box. It was good to see from him. I like Lindelof. I like Phil Jones when he's fit and on form, but you always know he's got that bit of a dodgy moment in him. You always know he's got that injury in him. Today he went down and you're thinking, Jesus Christ, Jonesy, don't be injured again. It's a weird one, but you don't want to get back into the pattern and the repetitive cycle of beginning to trust in these players again and they let you down. And that's the problem for us. I'd have Lindelof, I'd have a new signing, I'd have Bailly, maybe Tuanzebe there, and one more out of Bailly, out of Smalling, Jones and Rojo. But obviously at this moment in time, Bailly is injured. McTominay provides us solidity, says Path. Who scored the goal for us, says Huzaifa. So if you're joining us late and you didn't watch the game or you didn't watch the watch along, Juan Mata scored for Manchester United with a late penalty going in towards the end. He won the penalty as well when he tried to round the goalkeeper. The keeper brought him down, and it was a day where you're kind of thinking, Jesus, it's just not going to be our day today. United hitting the post, great saves by the goalkeeper. McTominay having two shots whistle wide, one cracked the woodwork. Other players going close, and then when we changed the full 11, Chongi came on, went close. Mason Greenwood had an attempt. Mata was going close. Pogba went close. You're just thinking, it's going to be one of those days. They were changing goalkeeper and still making changes, and then just at the last minute, Pogba with a great pass to Mata, who tried to round a keeper, got brought down, and then of course the rest was history as he slotted in from the penalty spot. During the game as well, we also heard, sorry, my phone's just absolutely going off. During the game as well, we also heard the news that Paulo Dybala's representatives are in London for discussions with Manchester United over the potential swap deal involving Romelu Lukaku, Juventus. Now, obviously, when you hear the likes of Paulo Dybala being linked with the club, you're going to get excited, and it's reasonable to get excited, but we have to peg those expectations and excitement down a little bit, because if the player says no, the deal's off the cards and we get back into negotiations with Inter Milan again. There's also been talk about Bruno Fernandes again from Di Marzio, about him being very close to Manchester United. British reports seem to have been saying that one's not true, but those are the reports from abroad that one's close. And then everyone abroad and in the UK is saying Harry Maguire's very close as well. If that comes off, Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, Dybala swap for Lukaku, I think many of us would not have expected that in the last couple of weeks, and it would be a good way towards strengthening and improving the squad. There'd still be a few players that need to leave, in my opinion, and maybe a few more positions that need solidifying. Central midfield is so important for me. It's as important as centre half. It's as important as getting, Maguire in, and Dybala's going to come in as a striker, false nine, however you want to play him. Someone that can occupy the right hand side of that front three as well. If Bruno Fernandes came in, he'd be an attacking midfielder. And it obviously means you can play Pogba a little bit deeper, and maybe you'd see that kind of McTominay, Pogba, or Fred and Pogba too. But I still think we need another player in there to play in that too, with Pogba. If someone like Bruno Fernandes, or even without Bruno Fernandes, even if you've got Lingard or Mata in that role just behind the strikers, you still need someone strong in there alongside Paul Pogba, and another option in there. Is Fred going to become that £50 million signing we expected him to be? Question mark. McTominay, is he good enough ultimately to play week in, week out at the level United need? Questionable. Pereira, fantastic in pre-season, but again, questionable. There's too many question marks over our central midfielders. and we need improvement in there. As important as centre back for me. But if we only got a centre half and we only got Bruno Fernandes and we only got, and we only got Dybala in exchange for Lukaku, I would not be complaining at all, because that would be combined with signing the right back, getting Aaron Wan-Bissaka signed down, and adding Daniel James to the Arsenal from the bench. It'd be a reasonable summer. There's still a lot of work to do in the squad, and there's still a lot to work on, but that would be a reasonable summer. If we only sign Maguire, I'm worried. I'm worried for the season. Maguire, or that centre half, was a signing that should have got made last summer. We shouldn't have been worrying about that now with 2 weeks to go. We should have been worrying about that last summer. And we all said it. We needed a centre half last summer, and it didn't happen. So, you know, that's what's going on with that. Let me dive into your comments again. We've got 1,300 people watching. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We got Noah in the comments. We've got am I going on Saturday? Yes, we're going to be there at the game on Saturday at the Principality. Fernandes and Maguire, says Ahmed. Dybala will be a good signing, says Rubel. Lukaku's value is 75 million, says Nicholas. Yes, any deal involving Lukaku and involving Dybala would probably mean us giving money in the deal as well. Which you can understand. You'd probably imagine Lukaku's valued at around 80 million euros. Dybala around 100 million euros. Maybe that's the case. Derek says SMS, the Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, is just clickbait. I got a feeling it's just Matej Kezman, who's his agent, trying to get a move for his player. He didn't have the best of seasons last season. Lazio could have cashed in on him the summer before. They didn't. He didn't have the best of seasons last season, and now his value's gone down to around 70 million. And obviously he's looking for a club, it seems, because his agent's offering him around left, right and centre. So guys, we are discussing Manchester United's 1-0 victory over Kristiansund as we kept up our impressive pre-season form. Obviously, it's only pre-season, nothing to get too carried away by. But from what we're seeing from Manchester United, it's pretty promising. It looks like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer working on that intensity, working on that high pressure. You see United, even against today's opposition, Spurs, Inter, whoever we've played in pre-season, you've seen United winning the ball high up the pitch, getting the ball early, making those interceptions, winning the ball back and counter-attacking teams. High energy, a lot of it. And that's why the likes of Chung, the likes of Daniel James, the likes of Greenwood are going to be great to use from the bench. We need to strengthen our first 11. I still believe that. But those youngsters can provide something to this squad. And I think with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the helm, they're going to get that opportunity. But in terms of the first 11, what are we learning and what have we learned? That, you know, the strikers, Martial, Rashford, they've got to get clinical. They've got to get into those positions. With Rashford, he's got to get clinical. His movement, I think, is decent. He's always moving off the ball. And on the ball, he's making the right runs when players are on the ball as well. In terms of Martial, he's got that clinical edge. He's got that coolness in front of goal. He's got the finishing ability. He needs to work on his movement. Now, we've seen him. There's a willingness there to learn. There's a willingness there to press. You've seen his frustration at times with other players when they're not following him in with the press. And we've seen occasionally Martial's playing through the middle, Rashford out wide. They're going to have to interchange. If you bring in a Dybala on the right, Jesus, that's absolutely quality. But Martial and Rashford are going to have to interchange. And they're going to have to be clinical when they do take their chances. For Martial, he has to make runs. Make those chances. Drop off a few yards. Make that space for yourself. Because you know once you get the ball, you're beating a defender. You're squaring the goalkeeper up and you're scoring. But sometimes you can make the pass easier for your teammates. So it's going to be vitally important from Martial and Rashford to provide goals for us this season. Who plays just off them? Is it going to be someone like a Bruno Fernandes, or is it going to be left to Lingard and Mata and potentially Angel Gomez? That high energy is important though. That's why I see maybe Mata being used more in the home games. Someone that can provide that clinical edge that he maybe doesn't need the speed because he's got all the speed around him and can just find it with the passes. And maybe Lingard will be used more in the away games and the games where we need that high intensity press from the front. Because whatever you think of Lingard, and I think he could have been better today, that press he's very good at. His intelligence, his movement is very good. So it helps Manchester United an awful lot. And Rashford plays better when he's with Jesse Lingard as well. just off them in midfield, I've discussed that, what we've learned. McTominay could be vitally important for us, but I still think we need a bit of quality in there. Paul Pogba, though, is looking like he's on it. He's got that quick feet. We're allowing him to get the ball, receive the ball on the half turn, further up the pitch. And once he's getting going, it takes a lot to stop Paul Pogba. And if we can get a big season out of him, it could really pull the others together as well. Obviously, I don't think we should be building a team around one individual. We should be building a team that still works even when you take an individual out. But Pogba will be better when he's got movement around him. And in this team and in the way we're playing at the moment, it looks like we have got that. In defence, that's where we need to get it sorted. Wan-Bissaka looks like he's the right signing. Left back, Luke Shaw, I think he still needs to improve a lot on what he did last season. But it was good that he's getting his fitness sorted now. Touch wood, that keeps going. But again, Delow's going to be important in terms of challenging both of them. At centre half, we need that signing. We need it. If you're looking at Bailly and Lindelof being fit all season and an Axel coming in, providing someone that backs them up, and Smalling and Jones and Rojo as squad players, buzzing. But Axel but Bailly's injured. So, we need that signing. We can't rely on these guys. And we really do need a signing. And obviously in goal, we know what's what. I still think the squad's lacking in quality. But there is depth in various positions. But those key areas down the middle, we need to sort that out. Because if you don't have a solid spine, you don't have a team. And then, when we get those key positions sorted out, there's so much to be excited about. So much, because we have got players with massive potential that will go on and improve. But we need to be able to do that. Paul saying Axel looks solid. Really hoping we get Dybala, says Rian. Any more comments coming in as well? Scott McTominay was the biggest positive today, says Miles. And guys, we're talking Dybala as well. Obviously, you're probably thinking this is a match day reaction and you got Dybala in the headline. That's because during the game we heard the news that Dybala's representatives were in England for discussions with Manchester United over a potential move. Now, obviously that would be massive for Manchester United if we could get someone like Dybala, especially in the deal for Lukaku. If we get Lukaku goal, and even if we signed Maguire and Bruno Fernandes, we'd still have had a bad summer because we've lost Herrera and Lukaku and not replaced them. Yes, we've brought in 2 players that we needed, but we've signed a right back that we definitely needed. So 3 players that we needed. But losing Herrera and Lukaku and not replacing them would be mind-blowingly daft. So if Lukaku goes, we need to be able to have bring in a replacement, whether that's from the team that we're selling him to, and someone like Dybala fits him fantastically, or whether that's bringing someone else in. But we have to be replacing him. We have to. And maybe that's why Dybala then comes. It's a big one because then I think if we signed him, we'd be looking to play him on the right, which probably then means we're not signing Sancho next summer. But I think if you sign him, he probably ends up there. Rashford, Martial, probably left and through the middle. Be a great option to have, wouldn't it? But try not to get carried away. Try not to get too excited. Let's read those comments. Guys, make sure you're hitting that like button as well. We've got over 1,000 people watching, close to 1,200. We've only got 120 likes. So get hitting that like button. Get subscribing to Full-Time Devils as well, as we discuss the game that we've just seen. Manchester United 1, Kristiansund 0. And of course the latest Dybala news with his representatives meeting with Manchester United to discuss a potential move. Keep your thoughts coming in as well, because remember, this is your show. Give Fosu Mensah a chance, says Dan Boy. What do you guys think? Dybala would probably play as a 10 with Pogba and McTominay in a 2 behind. Dybala and Maguire, and we are making top 4, says Marco. Matthew says, can you play centre-back, Adam? I can play centre-back. Not sure whether I'm good enough for United, but I'll give it a go. Loads of argument on where you think Dybala would fit in. Richard says he's better as a false 9. Colby says he needs to play centrally. Reece says Dybala right wing. Get your thoughts in on where you think Dybala would potentially fit in at Manchester United. We're discussing Dybala. We're discussing United's win over Kristiansund, which keeps up our 100% pre-season record. 10 goals scored, 1 goal conceded, 4 clean sheets in the 5 games, covering how many countries have they been in? 4 countries. Norway, China, Singapore, and Australia. Obviously, we were there in Australia. I was there in Australia and Singapore. We weren't there in China. We're out there in Norway, as Nat's currently getting us fan cams, and those fan cams will be up right after this video. Well, they'll start coming up right after this video. Remember, keep your thoughts coming in as well. Will Dybala fit in, or will he be another drama queen, says Canav. Romero should leave. He is not a second keeper. He needs to start, says Path. I don't think we need to start worrying about that right now. Although, to be fair, Joel Pereira is my number 2. I'd be happy with that. We need a Rude type striker. Gordon, if only you could clone Rude Van Nistelrooy. What a striker he was. My favourite striker at United. Absolute goal machine. Bruno over Dybala for me, says Miles. Can't we get them both? I think they play in different positions. Although, yes, Dybala can drop deep and occupy a similar attacking midfield position. But Bruno Fernandes is an AM. Dybala is more of a striker. I think you could fit them both in. And we have to replace Lukaku. Just seeing the highlights on the screen now. Tahith Chong, when he come on, looked really, really good. I have to say so. Dybala has something to prove, says Baz. Remember, I know I'm getting excited myself. We can't get carried away, because what we have to think about here is the fact that, if Dybala says he doesn't want to join Manchester United, then the deal's off. Dennis says Bruno. We did a video earlier on today discussing the Bruno Fernandes news. Now, DeMarzo is reporting Bruno Fernandes deal was close, the Maguire deal was close, and Dybala's representatives are in London to discuss a potential swap deal involving Lukaku and Juventus. And you just start to think, don't do this to me, DiMarzio, because if we got all 3 of them, it'd be absolutely going off, wouldn't it? Obviously, you're not going to win the league straight away, but it definitely brings us more into contention in terms of top 4. And if you start off the season well, you never know where you can build to. And just having those options in there, a Dybala in there, Bruno Fernandes, Maguire helping cement that back 4. I think a back 4 of Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw is pretty mint. Twanzebe, Bailly and Cole backing them up. It's just that midfield area. It's just that midfield area for me that we need to sort out. What's your thoughts? Bring Zlatan back. Rian says Greenwood should start all the Europa League games. I agree with you, I think we should use the Europa League. Firstly, we could qualify through the group stages and that, I think, by using a completely second string. And then when you get to the latter stages, you start to use your big boys. Because I think De Gea, Pogba, Rashford maybe even, players like that, you give them a rest in those games. Leave them at home. Don't need to be sending them halfway around the world to play teams that we should be able to beat without them. Now, I don't know whether you guys think I'm disrespecting the Europa League and maybe United should take it more seriously, but that's my opinions on it. Remember as well, we've still got one more pre-season game to come. As you can see, the fixtures below me there. We got AC Milan coming up, and then we get to the real stuff. Chelsea at Old Trafford, Sunday the 11th of August. Pulling me right back in yet again, United, ain't they? I thought I wasn't excited for this new season, and now I'm getting excited for the new season. What's your player ratings, guys, for today's game? Who impressed you the most? Was it Scott McTominay? Or was it Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Was it one of the substitutes? Juan Mata? Tahith Chong, maybe? Let us know your thoughts on who your man of the match was today. Pogba is a real player, says Nima. It's a squad game and we need to focus on the league, says Adrian Jackson. Land saying too many overcritical, sensational fan channels. Talking to the wrong person here, mate. I'm never like that. McSauce, man of the match, says Gareth. Derek says Scott and Andreas. Scott McTominay was the best today, says Gagan. Bro Demons, Vishnu, agree with him. Andre says Wan-Bissaka. Will you be excited if we don't end up with any more players, asks Colin. And the truth is, no, I won't. Coverboy Scott, says Mola. Scott is overflowing with sauce at the moment, says Kobe. Scott McTominay has got an awful lot of fans right now, hasn't he? Hit that like button if you think Scott McTominay was your man of the match. Hit that like button if you think Wan-Bissaka was your man of the match. Basically, what I'm saying is hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe into Full Time Devils as well. We've got plenty more coming your way. We have got, of course, reaction from Norway, from the fan cams coming your way very, very soon on the channel. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. Subscribe so you get the notifications and all that jazz. Remember, if you want an update on Bruno and Maguire, I did a video on that earlier, which is already up on the channel. And of course, the Dybala stuff and the reaction to the game today. If you want to hear more about that, then just scroll back this video if you joined us late. And if you joined us from the start, thank you very much for tuning in, whether you've watched us live or you've watched us back later. This has been Full Time Devils, the Manchester United fan channel, by Reds, for Reds, and it's your channel too. So make sure you keep your comments coming in. Plenty more coming your way. I cannot wait for the new season. But before that, we've got AC Milan coming up in Wales at the Principality Stadium next weekend. And I'll be there. I'll be at the game. We'll be doing a match day vlog. We'll be doing fan cams from the stadium. We'll be doing plenty of stuff. So make sure you lock on to us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for absolutely everything. For now, though, guys, I have been Adam McKola. I'm out of here. But before I go, my link for my channel is in the description as well. So subscribe there too. See you later.